So now I would like to ask Mark van Venrooy on stage for the award ceremony, and this is for the Professor Wittenberg Award.
Well, it's nice to be back at my alma mater. We're talking about the Henk Wittenberg Award today, and the day he stopped as being a professor of aeronautics at the TU, it was about the day I graduated. So I think I was one of the last generations that actually was in his colleges. Henk Wittenberg, as a professor, introduced space to Delft as a new line of investigation, and he was very much involved in education and evolving that to a more, how should I say it, a more human way of looking at students. He was also a former chairman of the National Society of Aerospace Engineers, which I'm the chairman of right now. I feel like I'm more or less the last line of defense between you and the drinks, so I will keep this as short as possible. But I want to say a few words about the Association of Aerospace Engineers. It's an association that combines the professional and more privately interested persons in aviation. And we do that by giving lectures and having excursions, and by facilitating symposia like these. And I think we're on the sheet here as well. Well, today we're talking about fueling the future, and the award winner of today actually does something different. What he does is contribute to using less fuel, and that's of course the first step in making aviation more sustainable. What Jan did is making building blocks in optimizing the ATC routing, and thus providing a more efficient use of the already crowded airspace. As such, it's a contribution to a more sustainable aviation now, and you could consider it to be a low-hanging fruit, because of course you need a bit of technology, but it's using the stuff already there. So things like artificial intelligence, and it's also in line with, I think Brian mentioned it, LVNL is already rearranging the airspace and also looking at things like continuous descent approaches, and you need the work that Jan did for that. So, well, actually leaning forward is what he is actually accommodating now. So I'd like to invite Jan, and maybe also Joris, because you know you know more about what made Jan the winner today. And before I forget this is my time on stage, so I can talk to all the students here. LVNL has free memberships for students, and that's right. And it's I think it's also the first year that you work, it's still free, so it gives you some time to decide whether you want to stay a member or not. But Joris, maybe you can give an insight in the jury report for us.
Yeah. The people know me as lecturer at the faculty, but I'm also the chairman of the awards committee of the faculty. And every year we ask all the professors to come forward with their best students for the series of awards we have as a faculty. And Jan was one of the ones who was put forward here for the award, and actually he's going to get 2 awards. He's going to get the award from the NVVL, that's going to be handed out by Mark in a minute, but he's also being invited to represent the faculty at the Pegasus conference in Rome later this year. Nice trip to Rome in the spring, but there we have a European competition of the best students of Europe. And Jan is the one who's going to represent there, and I'm sure he's going to win that competition. So no pressure, no pressure. No, but the award committee was very much impressed by the work Jan did. That's why we said he deserves this award. So
Well, I've got a very nice certificate for you, but the certificate isn't worth much. There is also a prize of 1,000 euros going with that, and the check will be written out by by Joris, I suppose. I haven't got it here, but... And you want to add some words to this, or?
Well, I can of course add something. I was told that I would only have to be here to wave and smile, but maybe if there's something that I can give based on the findings of my current study and the PhD that I'm doing at the moment, is that we are now entering an era where we have a lot of compute to our capabilities, where back in the days when we got our first computers, we got our calculators, we suddenly were able to do more complex stuff. And now we're entering an era where we have multiple GPUs that we can use in parallel. And we've seen it already do a lot of great stuff. But I think if you think you have a problem that you cannot tackle, it will always be interesting to just see what you can do if you try to phrase the problem that you're facing in such a way that you can use methods such as reinforcement learning or deep learning that really utilize the amount of compute that you have to your capabilities. And that way you can maybe find some novel ideas on how to tackle the problem. You might not necessarily find the solution, but I think that we now have these capabilities and it would be a waste not to use them. So if you're ever entering or tackling a problem and you don't know how to solve it, maybe just give the computer a go and it will find something that you haven't thought of. And yeah, I think that's what I might want to give to this audience.
Right, thank you.
Well, congratulations, Jan. We have one more award, the Heinz Stoer Award. And I would like to ask Henry Beri, Pieter Visser and Heinz Stoer to the stage and give them a warm applause.
And thank you for pointing out that we are really the last one between us and the drinks, essentially. So let's go to this important prize as well. Dear students, dear speakers, dear colleagues, dear guests, it's a great pleasure and honor to hand over the Heinz Stoer Space Award. This is Heinz Stoer. Most of you know him. And I want to say a few things before we go to the actual prize. Heinz, essentially, he's well known to our faculty. He has a chairholder here from 1986 to 2001. Is one of our valued members of the faculty who is still around doing wonderful stuff with the faculty in the field of space and space systems engineering. Actually, we're talking about that right now. And Heinz, important to say, has held many incredibly important positions both in Germany, in Europe, and in the USA. Right now, he's still a distinguished visiting scientist at NASA JPL. And 4 years ago, in 2018, Heinz won a very prestigious award. It's the IEEE Simon Ramo Medal. And this is the most prestigious award you can get in the field of systems engineering. And we are, of course, very proud of that. What did Heinz do? He said, well, I get this prize, and I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to give it to a place, to a faculty, where I believe in what the students are doing. I see what's going on here, I see the dedication of the students, and I want to award them. I want to give something back to the community. And he generously offered his prize money and more to start a prize. And this prize, against his wish, we decided to call the Heinz Stoer Award. That is not a decision, and sorry that we said we do it differently. The prize is awarded on an annual basis to a single person. Somebody is doing his or her work in the field of space, and it can be awarded to master's students and young graduates of the faculty. Will get a prize money as well of 1,000 euros. And the prize committee, Joris being the chairman, bases his decision on the proposal from a professor of the faculty and the master thesis, and it will be evaluated. And it will be evaluated really thoroughly, because the prize does not have to be given. If the quality is not good enough, it will not happen. So the requirements are pretty strict. So there are essentially two criteria being looked at. So of course, the quality of engineering or scientific work has to be of excellent value. And at the same time, it should be relevant to society as well. If you have something which stays in our scientific ivory tower, it's not good enough. It should be relevant to our society. And then, from all the applications that we get, the best one is selected. And if the grade is higher than a 9 out of 10, which is really tough, I can tell you, then it is determined that the prize will be given. And this year, we have the prize to give. So it's my honor. Is it my honor to mention the name, or Heinz, do you want? Actually, the laudatio will be given by Professor Peter Visser, who is the chair of space engineering. And then I'll leave it to you to mention the name.
Thank you. Please. Thank you, Henri. In fact, I would also like to give some more argumentation why we gave her the prize, if you allow me. and also, by the way, I'm convinced that every year we will have a very talented student to hand out this award. So I don't think we will skip one. And I think we never did, right? Good.
The standard should be high.
The standard is very high. Okay, dear students, dear speakers, dear colleagues, good afternoon again. With great pride, I would like to introduce this year's laureate. It is Mireia Leonardo da Vinci, who graduated cum laude on January 28 in 2022 with a mark 9.5 for a space flight. So indeed above the criterion of 9. I have to apologize on behalf of Mireia that she was not able to be here today, but of course she is here now in her thoughts. She graduated on her spaceflight Master of Science thesis on collision probability. Oh, she is online. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Sorry to miss you out, Mireia. Yep, I now see you here as well. Okay, very happy to see you here. Okay, Mireia, you graduated on your thesis on collision probability through orbital uncertainty propagation, and it was on the supervision of Dr. Erwin Moy, who is an associate professor in our department and our faculty. Erwin would have loved to give this speech today, but he is unfortunately unavailable, so he gave me the pleasure to give the speech on his behalf. Mireia has worked on a theoretically complex problem, namely the propagation of uncertainties associated with space debris, and as such to predict the probability of collisions between this debris and other space objects, such as active satellites and the International Space Station. Due to the literally uncertain nature of the problem, satellite operators need to take large margins into account before they would act on a collision warning. And moreover, this uncertainty increases when the potential collision is further away in the future. By applying a combination of so-called Gaussian mixture modules and differential algebra, Mireia could not only reduce the uncertainty on the collision probability up to 2 orders of magnitude for the International Space Station, but also increase the lead time to a potential collision, up to a maximum of about 1 month. And on top of that all, at a significantly reduced computational cost, in some cases close to real time. That this method is both economically and socially relevant goes without saying, which was also the opinion of a patent lawyer. Despite the green light, it was decided to abandon the patent application in favor of trying to commercialize the method in the framework of the startup eCosmic, of which Mireia is one of the co-founders. Centered around her method, eCosmic applied for an NWO startup grant of 40,000 euros by proposing a system to be used for reducing potential collisions in space and to reduce the number of unnecessary collision avoidance maneuvers. This grant was awarded in June 2022. Mireia was not just an excellent thesis student. She already showed her potential while doing her coursework, consistently being in the top 2–3% of her class. When she did her internship at the European Space Agency, at ESAC, the ESAC Center in Madrid, her work on geological features and region definitions on the comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko was so impressive that it got published in the reputed journal Astronomy and Astrophysics, with Mireia being the first author. Through her contacts of the internship, she received a PhD offer well before she graduated. She accepted this offer, and since March 1, 2022, she is pursuing a PhD on a topic of combining planetary sciences with machine learning at the Observatoire de Paris. Not just being a good student, but also a very pleasant person to work with, I'm very happy that the Heinz Steuer Space Award has been granted to you. Congratulations, Mireia.
Hello, Mireia. Congratulations. You're the number 6 of the Heinz Steuer Award, and you've set another mark of excellence. I'm so proud. When I read your thesis, I didn't believe this could be done by a student, because normally this is done by groups and teams of specialists somewhere in ESA, in industry, wherever. Space debris is in everybody's mind, and particularly all the space community thinks all the time about how can we tackle, how can we reduce the debris up in orbit. There is hundreds of thousands of particles, very small and very big ones. And we build spacecraft to try to get some of this down, for example, in upper stage of the Vega launcher, or the NVSat, which is a huge satellite which we've built 20 years ago. But that's very expensive and not easy to do, because all of those objects are up to 25,000 kilometers per hour, and they're in different orbits, and changing orbit up there costs a lot of energy. It's not very sustainable. So your approach of trying to find a solution, a mathematical solution, which pinpoints the debris better and lets you predict where the debris will be, so the space station or the satellites know in advance whether they are likely to be hit or not, is a breakthrough if it can be realized in real life, because it will simplify the prediction of hits, the predictions of collisions up in orbit. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. Congratulations. Unfortunately, you cannot be here to receive this little award, but we'll find an occasion when you're back to Holland to have a nice dinner, and then we'll do the right kind of things. So congratulations. Let me close by thanking Henry for a wonderful laudatio, all exaggerated, of course. Peter for describing what she's done. Erwin Moy, who is not here, unfortunately, her supervisor. And also Eberhard Gill and his wife, because his wife made this. So thank you all, and this is it. Thank you.